Hey, it's Clay Trader, and this will be a video chart on ticker symbol NWGC. We're going to take a look at the 60-minute time frame. Now, this one's going to take a little different approach, but first things first, I'm not going to name any names because, quite frankly, I don't know, and I have no problem saying that. I want to keep things real, want to keep things honest. I have no idea, so I'm not going to mention any names. I think a little common sense can go a long ways, but I'll just leave it at that because, again, I have no proof. It's just using some common sense, using some charts, and using some numbers. So NWGC was a front-loaded chart. Now, what gives me logic? What gives me reason to think that, to say that? Well, here's the chart in the 60 minutes. So if you're not familiar with what a 60 minute means, that just means each one of these bars or candlesticks, as they're called, represents 1 hour's worth of price action. So 1 hour in each one of these. Now, this one was, one of these alerts today. And let's see if we can figure out where the alert might have finally came out. Okay, I think we can all agree that's where the alert came out. But the thing with front-loaded charts is people say, well, look, I bought, when it was alerted. Just look at the time, when it was alerted, when it was alerted. Get this through your head right now. I don't care about when it was alerted. I care about what happened before it was alerted. If you want to write that down, if you want to try to, learn something here, who cares about when it was alerted? I care about what happens before it was alerted. So that's what we're going to look at here. So it was clearly alerted here on this candle bar or on this candlestick, but who cares about that? Let's just look at the time before then. So right here represents 9:30, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So there was about 4 hours in the day, and look at this volume that was coming into the chart. Keep in mind, look at the volume all the previous days, basically nothing. And then all of a sudden, volume starts to pick up before the big explosive move happens. I've done the math for you. You're more than welcome to double check it. But before the pick came out on that next candlestick, there were 26.2 million shares that were accumulated, and I'm being ultra conservative. I'm saying they got them at 0.0016, so they paid them more. But even being as conservative as possible and basing the math off of 0016, still comes out to about $42,000 worth of shares were accumulated at minimum. At least $42,000 because the price you can see here traded no lower than this. And that's also factoring, or not factoring, I should say, these other things leading up in the previous days. So, I mean, if you factor in all this volume, then yeah, this number grows. But let's just take today's action alone, which is these 4 hours before the pick was released. 26.2 million shares bought in this time frame, and we'll just say conservatively at 0016 to keep the math on the low end, but even keeping it on the low end, $42,000 worth of shares. And then you can see what happened afterwards. Boom, shot up. So I don't know about you, but whoever was buying here, I don't know who it was, but whoever was buying here, that $40,000 worth of shares, boy, oh boy. And let's see. Let's just assume that their average price was at 0021. Obviously, it was less than that because there were shares bought in a lower price range. But let's just assume that their average cost was 0021. So yeah, they turned that $40,000 into potentially what? I mean, 100% would have been at 0042. So there's 40,000 now worth 40,000. The next would have been up at. So yeah, I mean, you can do the math on that. They turned whoever that was, that $42,000 sure grew in worth very fast. So again, I don't have proof of who it was or whatever, but a little peculiar that before. Remember, that's the key. Before it was alerted, had about 40,000. At least $40,000 worth of stock bought, and that's not even considering any of these days leading up to it. So take it for what it's worth. It's one of those things where I don't care about when it was alerted. None of that matters. I care about what happened before. That's what front loading is. You're doing it before things are released to the public. And this chart suggests that there is definitely some front loading going on. So hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you kind of learned how to spot some front loading. This is a pump and dump. $40,000 worth of stock that turned into, a lot more than that, double their money and then some when the pump finally hit. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Don't go and start to do this though. It is illegal. So I'm not recommending front loading or front running or anything like that because it is illegal. But this is how you can spot it in a chart. So thank you for listening. Hopefully you learned something, and yeah, have a good one.